Përshëndetje and welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week I'm joined in the studio by Marjana Koçeku. She is one of Albania's youngest politicians. She just entered parliament as an MP with the Socialist Party. She comes from one of Albania's most beautiful and most unique and remote regions, Dukagjini. I'm going to be talking to her about her past as an activist, as a student studying abroad, and how she ended up in the world of politics. Marjana? Tungjatjeta. Welcome to Inside Albania and faleminderit for coming today.
Thank you very much for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be back at Euronews after 5 years, I think.
Now, there's a lot of questions I want to ask you, but I want to start with the Neomalsorja. So you became known internationally under this sort of name. You were in some of the world's biggest media. Can you explain a bit about how this came to be, what it is and the reason sort of behind it, the importance behind it?
I love writing and I especially love anthropology. And of course that for this kind of love, I was inspired by the lifestyle I had and by my family, especially by my mother, who used to tell me a lot of stories about the tribes there, the traditions, the ethnography, and how people used to live, it is very unique, actually. But I used to acknowledge how unique it is only when I traveled and I lived abroad and when I saw it with the eye of the foreigners, of the tourists, and through the books of Edith Durham and Mary Rose Waterlane, especially who wrote about that part of Albania from 100 years before and on. So actually, after I did a part of my studies in Genova in Italy, I used to travel a little bit backpacking in Austria and Germany and then in Sweden. So it was exactly there where I decided actually to come back to Albania. And my coming back to Albania was especially, I would say, only because of the existence of Dukagjin and in this corner in the Lake Koman where I grew up.
You realized when you went outside of Albania just how special that area was.
Yes, yes. Because you make this very natural comparison between what you found in another country and what you left home. And you are like, but it's not that bad, maybe. Maybe we have a chance to make it better and nicer and for us and for the others as well. So actually it was a time where I was thinking within me and I had this dilemma, or whether should I come back, or if I come back, what should I do? Because I don't want to close myself in an office and work there. This is not my thing. I cannot do it. I'm raised in nature, so I cannot get isolated in between four walls. So I said, okay, it would be amazing actually, especially in these times of like wild globalism and how quick people tend to forget where they come from and how they are rooted with their traditions and family and ancestors. And I said it would be great actually to have my own blog in Instagram, because this is a thing nowadays with the youth, and to write in a nice way. So it's not that old-fashioned, but it's told in a very attractive way with creativity for the younger generation. And I was thinking for the name, and I said, oh, it should be a very nice name and catchy, otherwise I will not start it. I already had a lot of stories in my notebooks, in my phone, these voicemails I would register with the older generation in the mountains during my exhibitions. And I said, I need to show this to the world. So actually I was thinking something of Malsorja, but okay, Malsorja is very general, you hear it everywhere, not that catchy. And it was just a eureka moment, let's say, a pop-up on my mind. I said, okay, Neomalsorja, this fits, okay? I Googled it, it didn't exist, and I said, that's mine.
No, it is a very catchy name, and it's important what you're doing, but also I think the north of Albania gets a bad reputation from Albanians themselves. You know, there's quite a lot of people use the word Malsorja sometimes negatively, or Malok, and they say, oh, the north, if something negative, oh, they must be from the north. So you showing these things in a very positive and creative light is important, not just outside of Albania, but inside as well. Do you come up against that sort of prejudice about the north of Albania, like quite often in your work, or?
Of course, it happened very often. I had 5 days of holidays this August in South, and I was my itinerary was in very not very famous locations because I wanted to find the authentic Albania in these south parts of Albania. And I went to a very isolated village in Gjirokastër. And of course, I love staying with older generation. And I was having a coffee with an 85-year-old lady. And she asked me where I was from. I answered in pure gig. And she was like,
Didn't understand a word.
So I had to translate into the standard, into Tosk. And I told her that I'm coming from Dukajin, from North, from Shkodër. And she said, this place where everybody kills each other. And I said, no, it's not any different from here. It's only that we call it Jakmari and you call it Hakmari, but it's the only thing. And then she reflected actually immediately because, it was a human touch. Maybe I was the only one she ever met from this part of Albania.
Yes.
So see it with the eye of the writers from the Renaissance time of Albania. I love them. I read them very often. They would, Judge Fishta would have a saying and he would say, but what wants to know somebody from Shal Dukajin about what is doing another man in Korç? Because the crisis of Albania were so huge, like people were suffering out of hunger and there was no infrastructure. It would take you 1 week of walk to go there. So I think this is where it comes the huge gap we used to have between North and South because we don't know each other. And there is another saying from them that says, Albanians, like we don't know Albania, our own country. And when you don't know something, you cannot understand it. Therefore, you cannot love it. And I think this is where it comes from. Adding to that as well, the war in between classes, social classes in the time of communism, which destroyed it like completely, unfortunately. But this is changing, and I see it because since 10 years old, so since 2010, with my family, we are working in tourism. So I grew up with tourists, with foreigners more than Albanians almost. So thanks of them, the way how we look into ourselves and into our own country is changing. And thanks of people like you as well, through your writings and showing people that there is a very beautiful way. Like there are more good things that exist more than bad things.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the bad things are the ones who make the most echo. So
yes, people. I think I'm biased towards the North, but it's not like deliberate. I just find there's more for me to explore there. But then people comment and they say, "Oh, you just like the North. Why are you not promoting the South?" And I'm like, there's a lot of promotion about the South, but people don't know about the North. They pass through Cooksey once on the way to Kosovo and they're like, oh, I'm never going to go there. Or they don't know these places in the mountains, for example.
I try to visit as much as possible of South and North, which are amazing. Like I have no words enough to describe how beautiful Albania is for my eyes.
No,
and how much I love it actually, and how mesmerizing it is. But it depends a lot what you are looking for.
Yes.
And what media mostly gives space to, like
beaches, hotels.
I even made a short writing, if you maybe read it online, after my holidays in South, where the question was, is there hospitality in South? Because we would mostly hear of bad things. Because as I said, this gets more clicks and more views and stuff like that. But they have everything. It's amazing, beautiful, just like in North.
I get a lot of these comments from people in the diaspora, and I find that they leave and they go work abroad, but their idea of how Albania is the same as the moment they left.
It's stuck, yeah.
It hasn't moved on at all. It's the day they left, nothing's changed. They don't have electric in the North, they're all in tribes, and the South is like, this is how they think. But there's another thing I want to complain about as well. People say and I know it's maybe a translation issue, when they call Tosk a clean language, they say standard Albanian, oh, this is the clean Albanian, which implies that Geg, like to my ears in the translation, it implies that Geg is somehow dirty. And I hate this. And then you have, I know so many people from the north who've removed their accents. They've switched their accent to the standard, or when they appear on television, they drop the accent and they speak with a more standard. And it drives me mad because I think the accent from the north, like, I die for it. I love it. And also Geg is the original, the oldest version of the language. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. It's the language of a lot of very important literature as well. And I want to know from you about how you use Geg and how this is received. I want to see Geg taught in schools, okay? Maybe not in Abatare, but there to be some option to learn this dialect, you know? What are your thoughts on this?
I was very much attacked for using the Geg dialect, especially since I entered the politics. And actually, I saw many people in media publishing a video interview I gave as a student in 2018, where I was talking Tosk. When I was a student, I was kindly forced actually to change my dialect and to talk the standard. And of course, I know how to talk the standard and to write it like perfectly, but I talk Geg because this is who I am.
Yes.
So I think it starts from here. If I'm saying no to what I truly am, then how can I do proper things in the right way, especially in this journey I went into? And I'm very proud actually for my roots, for my origin and who I am, and especially for my dialect. As you mentioned, the oldest document that we have from Albanian language is the formula of, I don't know how it's in English, pagzimit. I cannot. This is from church. Is the first process you do when you are born, and it's like from almost 1,000 years ago, and it's in Geg dialect, and all these great books and literature we had, and we all know that it's from a congress which was held during the communist time, which changed it and gave priority to South because. Yeah, back then most of the leaders were coming from this part of Albania, which is okay because, I mean, Geg and Tosk, there are two brands that belong to the same body and they are both amazing, and it's a great treasure that we have so many dialects and sub-dialects. Like, for example, in Italy, they are part of UNESCO, and everywhere in the world, dialects are a great fortune and people protect it with a lot of fanatism. Meanwhile, we are still in the stage of stereotypes and prejudices, which is, I think, wrong. But with the time, they will.
You have to keep speaking in Geg.
I love Geg. I mean, I feel myself, and this is the most natural way of being for me, talking Geg, and I will not, despite how much people attacked or discriminate on the basis of that, I will keep doing it, because if I don't do it, then how can kids and other youth do it?
They're just ignorant. They are ignorant.
Yes,
to criticize someone for speaking.
It's ignorance, definitely.
For speaking a dialect, especially an old, the original version of the language, is pure ignorance. You mentioned 2018, and actually that's when we met. We met, I think it was in the middle of some protests.
Yes.
And I was reporting on them, and you were very involved in civil society back then. And I have two questions about this. The first, how did you, I can see how civil society and politics are linked because you want change. You want to change the society. You have strong beliefs. How did you make that switch between, okay, I'm going to stop with the civil society, I'm going to move into politics? Was it a difficult decision for you to make?
I remember the first time I saw you. It's very easy to recognize you because you're tall and blonde. And it was maybe December 2018. This is when the protest was held. And then I got to know that you have your own blog, and I sent you an article.
Yes.
And the first article that it was ever published from me, I think it was in your own blog. Yeah. Something about the rights of the woman and such things. So I started actually my activism since I was 12. I remember that the NGO of World Vision Albania came to our school and asked for young, we're all young, who would like to involve in this activism and thing. And actually, I've always had the wish of being productive, fruitful, and having the opportunity of leading. I think maybe well, this is a huge dilemma. If you are born or if you are made, I think they are both. But since I was a child, I wanted to be involved in doing things and giving things for the community, and being noticed for doing something fruitful and useful. So I started this program of human rights, which was parallel with some youth in the US back then, and was very nice. And since then, I was really inspired by doing such things, even though I didn't really know what it all meant back then because I was just 12. But I continued also in Tirana. And it was the first moment I stepped in Tirana because I was 17 when I came here to study, and then the student protest started. I was especially inspired by Tukajin, where I come from. I always say it because we grew up in terrible conditions regarding the state presence. We never had it. I also said that to the Prime Minister when he invited me on his podcast 2 years ago. So I said that we never had it.
Forgotten by the state, essentially.
I think they didn't even know that we exist. And coming from this area where we had no representatives for 35 years, we had 2 men before that, but never a woman. Mm-hmm. And also taking into considerations that used to be quite a very patriarchal society. And I said, if I'm being offered, I cannot deny something that it was denied forever to my community. So I have to say yes for the sake of what it was forbidden for them, and with the intention and with a dream of opening new ways. Mm-hmm. And as I used to quote before, that with a dream of building a higher mountain so they can look further, especially young women and the youth of this area.
Now, back in your civil society days, I remember a lot of the things we were protesting for, and a lot of those were against the party you're now with, and things that they were doing at the time. Did that ever cause any conflict for you? Did you have to really think about how to approach it? You have to have any awkward conversations with the Prime Minister about this? Why did you decide to make that switch? Was it a matter of, okay, I've been given this opportunity. I might not have always agreed with what the party's done, but I'm going to take this opportunity to do what I think is best and to use this power for good. I mean, how did you approach that?
So back then when I protested, and even after another protest, whoever would have been the party, the SP or the PD, it's fine. I would definitely protest for it, because the cause and the advocacy we were fighting for, it was much bigger than the party itself or the government, because they all go and change, but the advocacy and the cause for the people in the community, this is what is stronger than anything else. So I didn't care actually who is in power. I was just like a young, wild, free spirit asking for what I considered right to be. And we made it to some point, which I'm very proud of that, because the energy I felt in this protest with all these thousands of youth cannot be compared to anything else. Actually, I tried in my life so far. And of course that they knew it, I think, because it's everywhere in media. I was one of the frontiers, so I gave tons of interviews and I was publishing a lot of stuff in my social media. And then the transition of mine into politics came through enterprise, actually, not directly from civil society.
But I have another question. Like you mentioned it just now, the energy of being amongst thousands of youths and everything. And I remember those protests. I mean, but it seemed there were protests every week about different things. And there were hundreds of people. And a lot of them, like you said, they weren't political as such. Yes, they were against what the government was doing or not doing, but they were driven by the desire for change or vision or policy. I don't see that anymore in Albania. I feel that civil society has kind of died a bit, and that the younger generation are not really fighting for things anymore. I don't see protests like that anymore. I don't see movements of people like that anymore. And I look back 8 years. It's 8 years since I've been here, and it's just completely different. There was the Koçeku protest the other day, and I went there and everyone was over 35. And I walked back to my house and all the coffee shops were full of young people. And I was like, why are you not move your ass, go and do something, support your countrymen,
I need to make a little correction because 2 years ago, we held actually a great protest. It was a peaceful protest in Shkodra regarding the Dukajini road. It was not only the people coming from this area, from my villages, but also a lot of people who have nothing to do actually directly with this area, but they feel the pain that we went through exactly from the missing of a proper road. And this gave a huge reflection to the people in power because they started doing it, still going. And but I studied political science, and I know and I believe that protests are a great tool of democracy, and they should definitely be used always within the legal frame and being peaceful and not harmful. And I think especially when it comes naturally, it blooms from the spirit of the civilians, of like simple people. This is the beauty of it. And so this is why I have actually great memories as a 18-year-old girl from that time. And to the question why people don't get up anymore for doing that, I think that it's different. Like people have different objectives, and I think in Albania we have too much this kind of mentality of what is it within my door?
Yes, yeah.
Like the sense of the mutual and of the community of public. It's not yet so strong as it should be. And this is how it was actually, I think, forever, because I read books written like from 100 years ago, when the thing that the Albanian philosophers, thinkers back then, this is what they criticize and attack the most, the mentality and how they see the public and the private.
So you were asked to join politics. Did it come out of the blue? Were you sort of, I don't know, in the mountain with your famous goats, minding your own business, and you got a phone call out of the blue? Or was there sort of a lead up to it? And did you say yes immediately? Or was it a matter of, oh my God, I need to think about this. I'll call you back?
No, it didn't come out of the blue. I think it was a very smooth way how it happened, even though it caught me unexpected because I had completely other plans in my head. I was very happy with my families. The enterprise already built it itself for years. Rai Uno, Financial Times, Arte, all these huge international medias who wrote about me. And I was, the Heidi of Albania. Everybody loved me from right wing, left wing, it doesn't matter. And because people saw in me what it was impossible for them to be, like the freedom out of the system. And I think this is the reason why many people fled like against me after it was public that I went into politics, because they thought, oh my God, she leaves, out of the system, out of touch with anything else, like completely freedom, and she makes it. And now she dips into it. And I know that many people were disappointed actually, because they totally imagined something else for my journey. But as I mentioned before, of course I was much more comfortable and happy, the views there and the lifestyle and the food and the kind of people you meet. It's everything very selected at the highest quality. But I think for the place there, as a local, as a young entrepreneur, I gave what I had to give.
Yes.
Now it's the moment for the others to chase it if they want it. They have already a model created, ready. And for those who want it. And the other thing is that, as I told you, I couldn't say no to something that it was not existent before for my people.
But how did it happen?
There.
Did he just...
No, it happened. Everything came after Financial Times. So after the article was published by them, which got very famous in the diaspora and other media, I received a call that the Prime Minister would like to have you on his podcast. It was this moment of promoting famous Albanians around the world, actually. So when he invited me, I was like, but I'm not around the world. I mean, I'm just stuck in my mountains here, staying here at my own cocoon. And of course, I accepted because it would be great to have a talk with the prime minister and an opportunity for me to tell all this I had on my mind of what we are missing and what we further need to progress in this community. And so after this long talk of like 1 hour, nonstop talking for other kind of things, he expressed that was like deeply impressed by my story and how we used to live there. And that unfortunately, he didn't know much about these areas, these corners of Albania, which historically used to be so isolated. And I invited, didn't manage to visit because of course the agenda is very heavy and full. And then I had a meeting with the mayor of Shkodra, which is now the political director as well. And we were talking, and him, but not only, because I also had a big part of the cabinet visiting me, of the post-cabinet, visiting me at the agrotourism and staying there as visitors. And I would always receive these questions, like, what's the next step? I said, I'm very...
You were being groomed for politics.
I feel very good at this own step where I am right now. So why should there be a next step? Like, I need time to process, everything that is happening already. And I would receive these questions, like even from tourists and even from local, especially from Albanians of this area who live abroad, and they would love the way I talk and what I was doing. And they said, we would love to see you into politics. I was like, no, don't plant it on my head. don't plant it. And then getting these questions, actually, I said twice, no, I'm very well where I am. I cannot leave. It's another life. I'm not ready for it. There are a lot of things that are unknown for me. So if I struggled so much to make it till here, I want to keep it. And then actually, I know that, I'm a bit of a spiritual person, but as well, very Albanian on believing this, let's call it science. So when random people would say me, oh my God, I would love it to see you in this parliament. I was like, why? Why it's happening? Right?
Yeah.
Why? I need people to tell me, no, don't go there. And actually, after that, I received the proper talk and offer from the prime minister about the politics. I was quite impressed, when of course I was happy about the consideration and the privilege, but I was very afraid, I must say.
Yeah.
Of course, he gave me a homework because of registering diaspora people as much as possible, and I fulfilled it, which was unexpected from their side as well. And but watching myself leading the list of Shkodra region, this was very surprising for me, actually. I didn't knew it. I was very surprised.
It's, the North, as you mentioned earlier, it is still rather patriarchal in many ways. We'll go on to the broader reaction.
But not only North, Albania.
Yes. But when I go to the North, I do feel sometimes that they are more patriarchal there than perhaps in the South. It doesn't bother me because that's the way of doing things. But was there a reaction locally? Was everybody happy, or was there some sort of, a young woman leading the list?
Are you serious? Everybody happy? How can you think of that?
Okay, I'm being polite. What was the reaction in terms of a young woman leading the Shkodra list?
It's fine. I always had in my mind, even as a very successful entrepreneur in a very young age, but also as a young politician, I'm getting used to myself being a politician, is that you can never be a prophet in your own land.
Yeah.
And I'm very sure about that. Because I think people will always tend to compare your childhood with theirs, how you come from the same circumstances somehow, and why you made it, but not their daughter, their son, who maybe has higher, degrees and
It's
more
very Albanian
specialization
way,
and, the age and things. So there were all the sorts of questions and ideas popping up when my name was public, like who paid for her seat and how did she made it, who she has there. And I'm sorry, because this means that people don't believe in meritocracy. A lot of people don't believe in things happening naturally. I would hear a lot of girls, not directly to me, but that friends would say that, oh my God, I hate her. And the question would be, but why? And he said, I don't know. I just feel like she's eating my bread. We have a saying. In fact, Albania.
Some of the meanest comments I saw were from women, especially prominent women who claim to be about women's rights and things, and then wrote really. And I'm like, you don't have to agree with someone's politics, but as a woman, either keep your mouth shut or support the fact that she's doing this, the action of it, standing for politics in this climate, in this area, in this situation. You don't have to agree with her politics, but at least appreciate that, or just be quiet. The attention you got when your name was announced was huge. I mean, it was immense. And then, I just saw the media and a bit on social media, but you would have been obviously exposed to a lot more. And you're saying now, okay, I expect it, I managed it, I handled it. How was it for your family? Having sort of, they're used, I guess, to having a lot of positive attention, but then to have this sort of tornado of drama and fake news and everything around them. Was it difficult for them?
It was true, because I try to see it a little bit, that how is being commented and where I am right now. But I remember the first week, everywhere I would open TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, I would see my face only, with good or bad words. It was everywhere. And I was a K-words in the studio, in the media, and all these opinionists and analysts, ideas and talkings. I tell you a funny story. It was, this night, 12 March, and it was around 8 o'clock, 8:30 p.m. when the name was published. And my mother was up there in the mountains. And I said, I was sure that there is not big connection. We never had TV, because why do you need a TV there? And I called my mother, and she went to sleep because it was cold, late winter for the mountains. And I said, no, the name is public and I'm part of the first 4, because this was the thing. And she said, oh, good. And she said, which, the first, the second? And I said, the first. But why did they place you the first?
Thanks for the support, Mom.
This is such an Albanian mother thing. And I said, none is great, it's historical. I'm 24, I'm heading the list. And she said, but there could be somebody else to front all this war that is going. And I said, no, it's fine, I can do it, I can handle it. I've gone through other hardships before, so it's fine. And my mother was so busy with the work, a lot of work, and she's not actually into social media.
Okay.
But of course, the other part of the family it is. But they know me very well. They know my dreams, my intentions, and I talked a lot with them when I received this offer, and when I said them that what should I do, and they completely supported, and they're my biggest support on this journey. So they are doing well.
Was there ever a moment where you thought, oh, crap, have I made the wrong decision? Have I wish I could maybe not be doing this, I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know if I want to handle this, because I've been in the crosshairs of the media negatively here as well. And it's just, like you said, when you open your phone and your face is there and you can't stop it, it just...
Calling you a spy, I guess.
Yeah, calling me a spy and me nearly getting deported, I had some idiot pop up on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, the other day, mentioning it. And I'm like, this was 6 years ago,
They don't forget.
I'm like, you're insane. Was there ever a moment of hesitancy or doubt in your mind during this whole process?
I think it's very early to regret. And definitely I tell to myself and to friends, I don't have the luxury of regretting anymore. Because despite that, how much power an MP can have, which is not a lot, as people think, actually. It's like how able you are somehow to lobby and, let's say, to move the good words around, but not an executive thing in your hand. And I said, I cannot regret, because I said it's historical for our area. So I should try with every way possible to lobby for these roads, for some kindergartens, and starting from the basic needs. And what I consider very important as well is making it possible to bring a different, model or type into politics.
Yes.
Somebody that doesn't disappear once it gets the mandate. What I would hear it a lot during the campaign, which is sad, actually, because I consider it to be, a great opportunity and such a good feeling to talk with people. And I did this before, like I would blog and I would write and I would meet people from all around, especially north, but also from south of Albania, because I love talking to people and I believe that there is a lot to learn and that they are the best advice givers. But there was a moment, I would say that if I handled very well emotionally, they were the first entrance of mine into politics with all this mitigation. There was a moment when I felt heavy emotionally and psychologically, and it was during kthye, because I come from these areas, not exactly from kthye, I come from another village, but even though I didn't enter yet the parliament, people thought that I
had power.
I could have a magic stick in my hand and just stop it. And I would receive so many calls, me and my family, asking me to ask the prime minister to stop it. And I would say that, I wish I would have given I don't know what, so the situation would have not come to these days to happen in this way as possible, because it's sad and it's really sad for what is happening. But this is a national reform that is happening, and I'm no one to stop it. And consider that politically I am yet no one, because I don't have a mandate yet.
Yes, exactly.
Back then in July, in beginning of July, when it happened. So, and people think that you have a lot in your hands, and people think that it's just a matter of a call or a mentioning of their name somewhere and to open all the doors to fix even how they make their sleep at night. But things are not like that, actually. It takes a lot of struggle, a lot of energy, a lot of argument and research. And sometimes people just don't want to make it because very often they don't want to give you the credibility of having things done. And there is a lot of bureaucracy as well. But this doesn't mean that I don't believe in the process and that I don't believe in my own skills and abilities to do it and to help people. I don't have the illusions of saving the world of Albania.
Maybe Dukajin.
It starts from there, because this is where I got the kick of going for it. But I will definitely not underestimate the power of small steps and planting some seeds. And I know, I'm sure, and I'm aware that my step into politics, being so young and coming from this area with not a rich family, not a famous parents, or not a famous nickname or things like that, I did it. And this, I hope, and I think that will give more self-confidence and believe to the young and other people to try and to do it for themselves as well.
Yeah, I think this is important. You're setting an example of someone who you went abroad, you studied abroad, you had I remember being impressed by you when I met you, and I thought she's going to leave and get a job outside of Albania and she won't come back, and you didn't. You stayed and you made your name here. So I think that's a very important role model for people. I remember thinking it during the protest. She'll go and she won't come back. It was
definitely, I think, in my life and in my heart, literature has a very special place, because I try to read as much as possible. And I think that certain books and certain readings I had through my life helped me be who I am and looking into the world and into life with the eye I see.
You recently gave your first address to Parliament. Were you nervous? And can you just give a summary of what you said? Because it was in Albanian, maybe not all of our viewers understand. So.
I would consider myself as a good public speaker so far. I think I can manage my emotions
Okay, there's
very
good
well.
public speaking. Like, I consider myself a good public speaker, but like to stand in front of Parliament, I think I'd be terrified. You know, there's different levels, you know, and
I gave my first speech in Parliament 7 years ago as a student, and I talked exactly for tourism and rural areas development. It's funny how things puzzle after some years.
You see, it was fate. It was meant to be. You were...
Maybe. And so when it was 4 weeks in a row, I applied, you know, to have the opportunity of talking, but it was always ending up with debates and fighting with opposition. I was terrified of that, like how can this happen here? Because it's supposed, you know, that the smartest, more intellectual was prepared. It always come here and talk, you know, and propose and debate, and we should be an example for Albanians, for people. And when I would see people like swearing and fighting, I was shocked. I said, I miss my goats.
I work for international media as well. Whenever there's been incidents like people setting fire to chairs or setting off smoke bombs or trying to pass through the metal detectors on the belt and climbing through windows, and even with Diela when there was that big, they are horrified. Like
I saw their body language. I saw their body language. Yes.
It's like my colleagues abroad, and they're like, you know, they quite like Albania. They're interested in what's going on here. And then they see this stuff happening in Parliament and they're like, this is insane.
I mean, I know that missing power for 12 years and knowing that you are missing it for 16, it's quite hard to accept it. But I believe, again, it comes thanks of my studies, that opposition has a great place into the state, into the representation, into the public life making of a country. And I believe that Albania deserves to have definitely a very dignitative government, but as well an opposition who lobbies for their rights and for their requirements, but not like that, you know.
Yeah, they have to set a role model as well.
2-3 times I think I wrote about it, and I took hundreds of criticism as well that, oh, you are in power now since 12 years, and now you are criticizing the opposition. I'm criticizing their behavior. You know, it's insane. It's shameful when you see, you know, this 40, 50-year-old man talking in that way, or intimidating, or mentioning the red lipstick of your colleague.
It doesn't make me want to vote for them.
Because they just don't have an argument, you know, a true argument. And I think that from both sides, it doesn't matter the colors or the figures or what we are, you know. I think we should definitely be a role model and inspire Albanians, you know, to
expect more.
Yes, this is how I see it, at least.
Yeah.
And going back to the speech, I was very happy that I was given space, because people think you just get up and talk, and why don't you talk and talk and talk? But there is a protocol to follow, you know, and there is a line you should keep.
What was the reaction, the feedback from your speech?
Oh, people were actually very happy. You know, I received great compliments and thank you, and it's great that you started with asking things and with telling the reality, like how bad the road is and how forgotten we are and how we need such intermediate interventions to make it better. And people were very happy to hear gig.
Yes.
But some would criticize it, of course. And it would be even people from Shkodra like, you're not the first. Okay, who said that I'm the first? Yeah. I'm not here to be the first or the last. I'm here just to be who I am and to do my thing.
If you were Prime Minister for the day, what would your first 3 priorities be? What would be the first 3 things you could do? You said being an MP, you don't have so much power. You're Prime Minister. What first 3 things?
Oh, this is a scary question. Okay. Well, there are many things. Why should it be only 3?
But the first 3, I mean, you know, if I was Prime Minister, I've written a list already if I was ever, not that I would be, but it's like this, you know, but the first...
Then I should start writing lists.
Start writing. What would be the first 3 things that you would want to do instantly to improve, like, what do you see as the most, like, emergency sort of situation in the country?
there is a special place in my heart for the cultural inheritance and for what we inherited from our ancestors. And there is a phenomenon I saw all around Albania. And actually, I feel very sad because there is no much time, it doesn't wait for us, to be ready and to be thankful for it. We should act now. And I believe that I would restore every old house in the whole Albania. It doesn't matter if it's living someone or not. I would definitely restore any of them. And the other thing that it's very near to my heart is the social protection. A huge problem that I see now that many young mothers send messages to me about is for the Down syndrome and autism. We don't have an infrastructure about that. Yes. And I would definitely give a very special protection to these kids and to these people, which are amazing. I think, it's such a blessing to have them nearby because they are full of love and light and energy. But it's sad as well when as a mother or as a parent or family, when you see that the right conditions and infrastructure is not being offered. And I think that when they have more infrastructure and they can be seen, then the stereotypes will start fading away slowly.
Like in Tirana, you can get an assistant teacher at school. There is help, but I imagine this is not the situation in rural areas.
And I would definitely rate the percentage of the state budget for the education. We need a lot of investment and energy to be placed and put into education and well-prepared teachers. And to restore the schools again, we go to the buildings and to give. And I think we should give the right status and position publicly as well to the teacher. I see that it's lost it in time. The way how my parents used to talk for their teachers was very idyllic, and it's different how my nephews see it from how I saw it and from how my parents saw it. So I think there is a lot of work toward that.
I was in Shistovet the other weekend, and the school there was just, the conditions were so bad in the school. It was really, I was shocked, everyone, the kids, I spoke to some of the kids and they were like, yeah, it's a beautiful place. Yeah, there's potential for tourism, but we don't have running water all the time. We don't have electric 24 hours a day. Look at the school.
Yes.
What's the point in having beautiful nature? We want to go. We're not going to sit here and wait for tourists when we don't even have a doctor in the village, and what can you say to that? It's true.
Yeah, they are right. Yes.
He's completely right. If you don't, yes, there's potential for tourism there, but you can't expect people to wait around and, tap that tourism when their basic needs are not met,
That's true. So I think that, paving every road possible and having all these basics, but having them guaranteed is urgent and is very much needed to every corner of Albania.
What's it like working for the Prime Minister? What's he like as a boss?
Well, I don't have an everyday touch in person with him, but I definitely respect it and have a great consideration toward his figure for being very professional, very charismatic, a successful politician, and definitely very successful in the diplomacy arena, as we all saw it. So I appreciate it for what he is and for the ideas that he implements and he talks. And definitely I have a great consideration because, I don't think that anyone else would dare to do all this transition that was made this year into the Socialist Party and into the parliament with so many young people, women. And as
an AI minister as well.
And Shkodra is not an easy region to experiment or to make things. So placing a young woman at 24, not coming from the political life and considering that how the mentality is there and how people think and see it, I think that he could be the only person to do that. And
yes, it's a risk. It was a risk in a way to make that, but I think it's a necessary risk.
A risk, but I am very much aware that how this gave how this affected positively at the same time.
Because I don't mean risk as a reflection on you, but rather you are capable, but putting you in that sort of arena. Yes. But I think in a situation like this, the only way you can make change is by forcing that change, and I think it was absolutely the right thing to do.
Yes. So I really love it that he has a lot of creativity and I have a lot of creativity as well. So we can talk out of the frames, not only politics, but other nature things. And that's beautiful.
You've just started your 4-year term. What would you have liked to have achieved by the end of it?
Many things.
Give me just some so we can come back in 4 years and go tick, tick, tick.
One of the things that most of the people would agree on saying, or let's say that all say, is that please stay yourself, don't lose yourself, don't make fascias, and don't change who you are, the way you talk, the way you approach to people, and how simple you are. And I think this is it's very important for me not to lose myself firstly, and to keep being who I am, or better on the way, but not to lose it. And I like the cause I have for the moment, the most important, it's always on my head, that always people are mentioning, is exactly the road I was saying, the road of Dugajin, which is 50 kilometers to be asphalted, but tens of villages. And I'm so proud of these areas because thanks of the isolation, isolation is terrible, but it has a good side. Yes. Everything is that it's untouched, is very pure. And during the time that other mistakes were done in other places of Albania, we had the time to see, to reflect, and hopefully to make it better when people start to make their own investments and structures right there. So I'm so happy for the existence of this place and how people see it and how much people there love their own land. For me, it's very important, to hear people and to be close by them and to delegate, as far as I can, to give them to solve their problems, not only to be storing on my head all the problems that I hear around, but the most important thing is this, and to help people develop, especially in the rural areas, the youth enterprises. I started doing somehow, even as an entrepreneur, to help them on advices and things, but also as a young politician on apply here, try this, do there. And I think this is the great future of Albania, especially for North. And the only thing that could make youth stay or come back from what they're left. And also, I'm very sensitive for the social problems, especially when it comes to kids. So right now, actually, I'm working with a little village of Shkodra to make it possible a kindergarten for 40 kids. And I'm very happy for that because I found the way how to do it. Good. So they are finally, it's called Sheldi, and I invite you to.
Okay, yes.
They are known for tobacco producing, but what is unique is that a lot of, if my age left, most of it, they are the parents, in their 50s, 60s, who are great workers. They cook perfectly. They have traditional clothing. They have their artisanat, and they have old houses. And I see a lot of future there. I see, even parents who can be alone. They can just put their sleeping room of their kids and start with so little steps, and this can fill their heart in another way and produce a healthy economy for the community as well. So the thing is why I'm trying so hard for this kindergarten is that if kids, there are 40 kids in such a little village, which is, wow, it's a bless. If we keep the kids there, means we keep their parents, which means that we have more human resources and more opportunity, and then we can inspire them through other directions of tourism making or farming or agricultural activities. And it's beautiful. You have these hills and the lake, and then you have these fields of tobacco. It's beautiful. It's magical. I would love to have you there.
I'd love to go.
Yes.
I'd make a little film about it as well. That would be great. The last question, one-line answer. People who are watching this, people who have criticized you, said, oh, you're working for a corrupt party, or you didn't get there through merit, all the criticisms you've had. What is your one-line message to them to quell their doubts or to reassure them about what you plan to do for the next 4 years?
Only time can tell. If I can keep talking.
Give me a chance.
Yes, I can keep talking till tomorrow, but this is not a way to convince people. Talking is not the way. I think actions are the ones who talk loudly. So give me time and I will show it with work and action. I'm already doing this kindergarten for 30 kids.
Yes.
It's neither 1 month.
Exactly. You've just started. You've just given your first speech and you already have a kindergarten. That's more than some politicians who've been in cabinet for many years have done.
I don't know what they have done.
Or in their positions, this is more than many people do.
I think that coming from the territory, from the village, and from living with the people, with the greatest people, possible, people who touch the land, who have their hands, broken, full of work, science, of dignity. I cannot allow myself to fly. I mean, I can't, even if I want, because I have a past fulfilled with life experiences, with suffering, and with all these sorts of people who live with pride and dignity and have no idea what corruption is or what parties are or what privileges are, because they did it for themselves. And I'm raised and born among these people, so I don't think I can be any different. Yes. And if I made it so far like that, I think I can make it further.
Marjana, thank you.
Faleminderit shumë. Tu rrit nera.
Thank you. That's all for this week. You can watch Inside Albania every Saturday on Euronews Albania, on our YouTube channel, Euronews Albania, or across all major podcasting platforms. You can also find me on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok, and let me know your ideas for the show Alice in Albania. Until next week, Mira Pavshim.